And welcome back as we're continuing through our journey through the book of Acts. Today we're continuing in chapter 7. Today we're going to be in verses 17 through 43. I know it's a large chunk, but it's going to be good as we read a portion of scripture and pull a timeless truth. And just to give you more context, Stephen is standing before his accusers. And instead of retaliating against his false testimonies and all that he's hearing, he talks about God. So in verse 17, we pick up the story. But as the time of the promise drew near, which God had granted to Abraham, the people increased and multiplied in Egypt, until there arose over Egypt another king, who did not know Joseph. He dealt shrewdly with our race and forced our fathers to expose their infants, so that they would not be kept alive. At this time Moses was born, and he was beautiful in God's sight, and he was brought up for 3 months in his father's house. And when he was exposed, Pharaoh's daughter adopted him and brought him up as her own son. And Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in his words and deeds. When he was 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brothers and children of Israel. And seeing one of them being wronged, he defended the oppressed man and avenged him by striking down the Egyptian. He supposed that his brothers would understand that God was giving them salvation by his hand, but they did not understand. And on the following day he appeared to them as they were quarreling and tried to reconcile them, saying, "Men, you are brothers. Why do you wrong each other?" But the men who was wrongdoing his neighbor thrust him aside, saying, "Who made you a ruler and a judge over us? Do you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" At this retort, Moses fled and became an exile in the land of Midian, where he became the father of 2 sons. Now, when 40 years had passed, an angel appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai in a flame of fire in a bush. When Moses saw it, he was amazed at the sight, and as he drew near to look, there came the voice of the Lord. "I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob." And Moses trembled and did not dare to look. Then the Lord said to him, "Take off the sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their groaning, and I have come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send you to Egypt." This Moses whom they rejected, saying, "Who made you a ruler and a judge?" This man God sent as both ruler and redeemer, by the hand of the angel who appeared to him in the bush. This man led them out, performing wonders and signs in Egypt and at the Red Sea and in the wilderness for 40 years. This is the Moses who said to the Israelites, "God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your brothers." This is the one who was in the congregation in the wilderness with the angel who spoke to him at Mount Sinai, and with our fathers he received living oracles to give to us. Our fathers refused to obey him, but thrust him aside, and in their hearts they turned to Egypt, saying to Aaron, "Make for us gods who will go before us. As for this Moses who led us out from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." And they made a calf in those days and offered a sacrifice to the idol, and were rejoicing in the works of their hands. But God turned away and gave them over to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. "Did you bring me slain beasts and sacrifices during the 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? You took up the tent of Molech and the star of your god Raphan, the images you made to worship, and I will send you into exile beyond Babylon." When Stephen spoke about Moses, he didn't just recount the heroic highlights, the plagues, the Red Sea, or even the climb up to Mount Sinai. He also told the uncomfortable truths, the murder, the 40-year exile, the shattered tablets born out of anger. It would have been a disservice to Moses' legacy if he didn't include his failures, because it showed how God remained present through every misstep and moment of weakness. Moses' story wasn't powerful because it was perfect. It was powerful because God's faithfulness never wavered. What if your life was told like that, raw and unfiltered? Would you cringe at what people remembered? Or could you find peace in knowing that grace runs deeper than regret? God isn't looking for spotless resumes. He writes his story through flawed people with painful pasts, just like Moses. Your history, no matter how broken, doesn't push God away. It often is the very place he begins his greatest work. So church, I want to encourage you, especially if you stayed to this very end of this video here, don't be ashamed of your past. God has forgiven you. God is with you, and you can see the fingerprint of God throughout your history. And so I hope today that you don't have to struggle with shame, but you can walk in his grace and allow him to continue to transform you, saying, yes, even so, the Lord was with me. Even yet while still a sinner, Christ died for me. And that would be a great testimony to every single other person out there that is struggling with their failures as well. God bless.